सो टुडे आवर टॉपिक इज़ लेवल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन। ठीक है, आज का हमारा टॉपिक है लेवल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन। लेवल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन जो हैं वो कौन कौन से हैं, उसमें क्या क्या आता है और वो किस तरह से कम्युनिकेट जो है वो करते हैं। ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट है हमारे पास एक्स्ट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन। सो एक्स्ट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन में कौन सी कम्युनिकेशन होती है? कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन ह्यूमन बींग्स एंड नॉन ह्यूमन entities is extra personal. For example, when your pet dog comes to you wagging its tail as soon as you return home from work, it is an example of extra personal communication. A parrot responding to your greetings is another example. ठीक है, more than any other form, this form of communication requires perfect coordination and understanding between the sender and the receiver, because at least one of them transmits information or responds in sign language only. सो नेक्स्ट है हमारे पास इंट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन। वो एक्स्ट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन हमने पढ़ा, उसमें कम्युनिकेशन आपकी कैसे होती है? एक ह्यूमन बीइंग की एक नॉन ह्यूमन इंटाइट्स के साथ जो है वो कम्युनिकेशन होती है। ठीक है, किसी जानवर के साथ जो ज़बान को बोल नहीं सकता होता। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास इंट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन। इंट्रा पर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन टेक्स प्लेस विथ एन इंडिविजुअल। वी नो दैट द brain is linked to all parts of the body by an electrochemical system. For example, when you begin to feel hot, this information is sent to the brain and you may decide to turn on the cooler, responding to instructions sent from the brain to be hand. In this case, the relevant organ is the sender, the electrochemical impulse is the message, and the brain is the receiver. Next, the brain assumes the role of sender and sends the feedback that you should switch on the cooler. This completes the communication process. This kind of communication pertains to thinking, which is the basis of information process. ठीक है, without such internal dialogue, one cannot proceed to the further levels of communication. Interpersonal and organization. In fact, while we are communicating with another party, our internal dialogue with ourselves continues concurrently, planning, weighing, considering, and processing information. You might have noticed that at times you motivate yourself or consciously resolve to complete a certain task. Self motivation, determination, and the like take place at the interpersonal level. नेक्स्ट हमारे पास इंटरपर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन। ये इंट्रा हमने पढ़ा था, ये अब इंटरपर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन है। कम्युनिकेशन एट दिस लेवल रेफर्स टू द शेयरिंग ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन अमंग पीपल to compare it with other forms of communication such as intrapersonal organization etc. We need to examine how many people are involved, how close they are to one another, and physically how many sensory channels are used and the feedback provided. Interpersonal communication differs from other forms of communication in that there are few participants involved. They are in close physical proximity to each other. Sensory channels are used and feedback is immediate. Also, the rules of the sender and receiver keep alternating. This form of communication is advantageous because direct and immediate feedback is possible. If a doubt occurs, it can be instantly clarified. Note that non-verbal communication plays a major role in the interpretation of a message in the form of communication due to the proximity of the people involved. Next, interpersonal communication can be formal or informal. ठीक है, for example, your interaction with a sales clerk in a store is different from that with your friend and members of family. The interaction between the panel members and the candidates appearing at an interview is different from the conversation between two candidates waiting outside. Hence, depending upon the formality of the situation, interpersonal communication takes on different styles. Moreover, most interpersonal communication situations depend on a variety of factors such as the psychology of the two parties involved, the relationship between them, the circumstances in which the communication take place, the surrounding environment, and finally the cultural context. ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कम्युनिकेशन, ठीक है। तो इसमें भी आगे इंटरनल ऑपरेशनल, एक्सटर्नल ऑपरेशनल, मास कम्युनिकेशन, ये सारे आ जाते हैं। तो ये आप अच्छे से